John Scott, Jonathan Acosta here. Bill's just a walkthrough Wednesday because it's that point in the season where you don't want to really drive these guys too hard on the ground. Injuries probably also factoring in here. And the top of that list is Keon Coleman, as Sean McDermott kind of, I guess, providing an update on the status of the wide receiver.
Yeah, this is a beat-up team at multiple positions, wide receiver being one of them. Amari Cooper missed the game Sunday. Keon Coleman exited the game in the fourth quarter after that big hit from Jordan Poyer late in the game. Initially didn't look good. I think something positive was that he wasn't immediately ruled out for an extended period of time. I think that was sort of a sigh of relief for a lot of people. Today we got sort of an update from Sean McDermott saying that it's not necessarily day to day, it's not necessarily week to week. It could be more than just a week thing, but they're sort of still evaluating, so hedging a lot of bets there, so to speak. I get the sense from just trying to read the tea leaves that Keon probably is not going to play this week. But do they try to maybe get him healthy for the biggest game of the season next week when they host the Chiefs here in Orchard Park? I wouldn't be surprised if that's the plan.
And the bye week is after that. So I think with managing any of these injuries that are on the docket right now, you kind of bring into the mix, do we give him an extra week? Because, if you just rest him, it doesn't maybe flare anything up extra as well. I do agree with you. I think Coleman doesn't seem like it's going to be 4, 5, 6 weeks an IR type of thing,
right.
But we just don't know how soon he's going to get back on the field. I will say, real brief, just seeing him out here in the facility super quick, even though we didn't see the walkthrough portion that he didn't even participate in, it doesn't look like he has a brace or anything on there. So again, encouraging signs. Not that we're internet doctors or even try to be as well. Amari Cooper, Christian Benford, and Reggie Gilliam all did not play against Miami, all participating in some capacity during Wednesday's walkthrough. Also found out Dwan Smoot just had wrist surgery, is on IR, but Sean McDermott hopeful that he should return by the end of the season at some point, which leads us to 2 new additions of familiar faces that the Bills bringing in officially here on Wednesday, and that is defensive tackles Quinton, Jefferson, and Jordan Phillips. Familiar faces, they're probably going to have to slide right in and make an impact.
Well, with Dwan Smoot on IR, Dwayne Carter on IR, I think a lot of people that follow the team maybe even thinking that if Brandon Beane was going to make a move at the deadline, it was going to be at defensive tackle. Instead, they stand pat but are able to pick up in free agency with some cuts the additions of 2 guys familiar with the system. And Sean McDermott even said that it's sort of a credit to both them and the culture the team has built, that 2 guys that have played here, left, are willing to come back because they know that they can sort of produce and play good football here. We've seen Jordan Phillips play good football here, the best year of his career when he had 9.5 sacks, I believe, in 2019.
Correct, yep.
And then Quinton Jefferson, sort of the opposite, where he left here and then the previous 2 seasons with 2 separate teams had more productive years. His last year with the Jets really stands out. This year with the Browns, not as much production, but you've seen what he's been able to do the 2 years before that. It makes sense for the Bills to bring back 2 guys that, like we talked about already, are familiar with Sean McDermott's system.
And I spoke with both of them, I should say, after the walkthrough portion. Jordan, super excited to be back. He reiterated, which is things we even heard last year, and even before he went to free agency following the 2019 season, he wants to finish his career here. He feels that he plays his best football. The results have indicated that. He loves the guys. He loves the coaching staff. Even though Leslie Frazier's no longer here and it's Bobby Babich, he's very familiar with Bobby Babich. Even though it's a new defensive line coach, Marcus West was the assistant, so he still is familiar with the defensive line coaches that he will be working with. He's excited. Puffer jacket has been shipped, even though the temperatures certainly don't warrant it at this point. And Jefferson also saying, hey, I had other options, but this is where I wanted to be. And to your point about culture, we've seen it beyond these 2. We see it year after year. Some people may be like, why are you going back to the well? But I think there's a lot of reasons for that, and I think it's a good thing that people want to come back to this team.
And to your point on excitement, we heard from Josh Allen and Terrell Bernard at the podium, and they both mentioned specifically to Jordan Phillips sort of the vibe, the energy that he brings. And I think that's important when it's a guy joining a team mid-season, especially a team that seems to sort of have a little bit of mojo, a little bit of momentum, a team that seems to have like a pretty good and tight-knit locker room. You're bringing in a guy that's going to fit in seamlessly with that. I think it's an addition that makes sense in more ways than one.
Let's go to the offensive side of things, and Josh Allen and this offense trying to find their way as guys are in and out of the lineup here. You heard from Allen. What are his thoughts of moving forward with, we don't know about Keon Coleman, we don't know about Amari Cooper, but the wheels continuing to turn and putting up points as they did against Miami?
Well, I think the interesting part about this is that I asked him specifically about sort of Joe Brady and his influence in the team being able to be such a good second half team after all of these slow starts, right? Because we've seen that now multiple weeks where the team gets off to a little bit of a slow start, and then it's almost like there's a light switch in the second half. He credited Joe Brady just for his preparation, and he mentioned his consistency, and I think that consistency is something so important with Joe Brady, but something that this team is still looking for, partially because they are a different team in the first half and the second half, but also with the pieces coming in and out of the lineup. You have a game with James Cook, without James Cook. You have Amari Cooper in and out of the lineup. You have Keon Coleman now maybe going to miss this game. So I think as the season goes on, listen, it's something that Terrell Bernard touched on, Sean McDermott has touched on. Injuries happen to teams throughout the season. It's can you weather that and then hopefully get healthy towards the end of the year when you want to be playing your best ball anyways.
The defense, they've also dealt with slow starts and had to overcome them and get better as the games have gone on. They've done it just like the offense has as well. Christian Benford, we mentioned him on the fence. We'll see his status. Spoke with him after practice, and he's not a man of many words, but says, hey, it's something he'd been dealing with for weeks prior to them sitting him out last week. Pain thing eventually got to the point where he just could not play. Now I think it's just managing and trying to figure out if and when he can play. But Kaiir Elam, I think, did do well in relief, especially considering he popped his shoulder back in and was back in action on Sunday's win over Miami.
And it's impressive because I'm not sure how much we talked about this after the game, but we caught up with him at the locker room after the game on Sunday, Kaiir Elam, and he said something to the effect of that he would have had to been like knocked out or something like that in order to miss the game. Tells you, I think, a lot about how much getting that opportunity to start meant him. I think one of the reporters even asked him, why did this game mean so much to you? And he just kind of smirked and chuckled and said, come on, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like Kaiir Elam acknowledged the opportunity that was in front of him, took full advantage of it, and if you're the Bills coaching staff, makes you feel good that, hey, we missed a key defender in Christian Benford, but Kaiir Elam, a more than trustworthy, more than capable sort of backup third cornerback to step into that role in case he needs to play more snaps again in Indianapolis.
Speaking of feel good, Tyler Bass. You're still feeling the vibes of that, and he wins AFC Special Teams Player of the Week for the very first time in his career. Was AFC Special Teams Player of the Month last year, I believe, in the month of September, and then kind of from there is where the struggle started to happen. I asked him specifically, how do you ride the momentum, take the confidence from a huge kick of making a 61-yard game winner, while also moving forward? And he says, this is kind of just the game here, but and this is how you do it. Like in the professional thing, good, bad, indifferent, you're always and only as good as your next kick. But still, I think it's a really big thing, and Sean McDermott touched on it, for him to get one more kind of recognition for such a big and emotionally powerful moment.
And what McDermott says that, you know, maybe you're wondering about where Tyler Bass is at mentally, even going into that kick. But now after he's made that kick and we sit here on Wednesday after the game, we don't have to wonder where he's at because we saw him come up clutch, come through when the team needed him most. I think the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week, I think many of us can agree it's not the biggest award in the world, but it's a nice token of confidence, right? And confidence is a weird thing where something small can make it spike and something small can make it dip, right? So for a position like kicker where confidence is such an important thing, any small thing that can continue to add to the boost that he got Sunday, I think is important for Tyler Bass.
Bills at the Indianapolis Colts, Lucas Oil Stadium. I believe the last time they were there, Derek Anderson was the one under center for the Bills, and they got absolutely slaughtered by Jonathan Taylor. I will actually be staying back. Lindsey and Jonathan will be going. What are you looking forward to most about Indy?
Well, you mentioned the name there first, Jonathan Taylor, not just because he's on my fantasy team, but that's also a big matchup awaiting for this Bills defense. Terrell Bernard, speaking with him, called him one of the best running backs in the entire league. I think a lot of people would agree. And it's interesting because if you would critique the Bills' defense for one thing this season, it's defending the run. We saw Miami, granted they're a unique offense, but we saw Miami being able to run the ball again on them this past Sunday. So I'm fascinated to see how they match up against Jonathan Taylor. And then I've heard some good stuff about the Indianapolis food scene, specifically when it comes to maybe some shrimp and cocktail sauce. So if we have time to make it out to try some of that, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the Bills' road games this year have been pretty unique places in terms of different scenery and different types of cuisine where they are. We just came back from Seattle a couple weeks ago, and Seattle was an amazing trip. Indianapolis, another city that I haven't been to, so I'm looking forward to seeing it because I know they host a lot of events downtown. It's like a tight-knit downtown where it's easy to walk to and everything. They've had plenty of Final Fours and stuff, a Super Bowl at Lucas Oil Stadium, so looking forward to check it out.
I love Indianapolis. I think it's highly underrated, and it would be absolutely criminal if they move the Combine from there because it's the ideal location for that sort of a week in event, the magnitude that the NFL puts on. Enjoy, my friend, but do not get crazy with the cocktail sauce. Don't go full bore and just take a big glop of it because it will literally get steam out of your ears.
I've heard it's spicy, and I don't do well with spice. A little bit of spice here and there, but nothing crazy, so I will definitely be a light dip first, and then we'll go from there.
But it is awesome. All right, enjoy. The Indianapolis Colts hosting the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, a 1 o'clock game. So once again, even though it'll be a road game, a nice little way to start your afternoon on Sunday earlier than normal. With Jonathan Acosta, I'm John Scott for Channel 2 Sports.